One of the biggest bombshells this month was the announcement that Epic Games will be taking on Steam with their own digital PC games platform called the Epic Games Store, which has already launched. The big draw for developers is the much more generous revenue share it offers compared to Steam, where Steam employs a contentious system that favors major releases by making it so that games that earn less than $10 million in revenue only get 70%, while games that earn over $10 million and over $50 million get 75% and 80% respectively. Epic Games Store will give developers an 88% revenue share across the board. For the cherry on top, whereas developers who use Unreal Engine 4 would normally have to give Epic 5% of their revenue share, that fee will be waived for any game made with Unreal Engine that's released on the Epic Games Store. Epic is also going out of their way to lure consumers by offering free games every 2 weeks for a whole year. For example, we already know that Subnautica will be offered for free from December 14th to December 27th, and that Super Meat Boy will be offered for free from December 28th to January 10th, with more to come down the line. It's also worth noting that we are already seeing developers pull their games from Steam to release them exclusively on the Epic Games Store, and we are also seeing newly announced games releasing only on the Epic Games Store as well. Epic's proprietary game launcher already bolsters a healthy player base thanks to the massive success of their flagship title Fortnite, but it's only bound to grow further with the lucrative offer of free titles and as developers who will be incentivized by the more generous revenue split host their games exclusively to the new platform. Bottom line is that Epic Games Store is kicking off running and is off to a very good start, garnering overall positive attention across the board. However, one potential snag of the service on the consumer end of things is some of its policies, particularly where privacy is concerned. This point was first raised by a Reddit user going by the name An Actual Platypus, who noticed that based on what's listed on the official Epic Games website, the current privacy policy may not be complying with the General Data Protection Regulation, also known as the GDPR, introduced by the European Union. You may recall that the GDPR was passed not long after the controversy surrounding Facebook and Cambridge Analytica as a means to ensure companies use people's personal data in a responsible manner and are transparent about how that data is being used. While the law only applies to countries that are part of the European Union, that's still a big enough market that companies from all kinds of industries had no choice but to change their privacy policies across the board on a global scale, many game companies included. Now, this particular Reddit user specifically raised concerns about these bolded excerpts, which is part of a paragraph referencing the European Union that reads as follows: If you're located in the European Union or the Epic entities located in the European Union process your personal information in the European Union, then you have the right to restrict or object to our processing of your personal information. The right to restrict processing arises only in limited circumstances. For example, if you think we are processing inaccurate information. In addition, if we are required to restrict processing but the requirement is temporary, we may not be permanently obligated to adhere to your request. In response to this Reddit user's concerns, another user going by the name Basidi, who claims to be a certified data protection officer for a company operating within Europe, broke down the statement bit by bit to provide his own insight and to highlight the fact that Epic's current privacy policy is generally not good and doesn't conform with the requirements of the GDPR, noting how the quoted excerpts are in violation of at least Article 12, which demands transparency. Basidi began by breaking down this first bit of the privacy policy, which reads, "We store personal information for as long as we reasonably need it to fulfill the purposes for which it was collected. We may share or provide you with opportunities to share information about you with other users of our websites, games, game engines, and applications as described in this policy." It was noted that nothing about this particular segment is wrong, with the user explaining that according to Article 6, companies can indeed store personal data up until your contract with them ends, when you delete your account or when you request your personal data be deleted, after which the company may no longer use your data and has to confirm its deletion unless there are laws requiring them to keep records longer, though deletion of data is still eventually required after that time has passed. Next up, Epic's privacy policy states, quote, "We may share personal information we collect within our family of companies. We also will share information with service providers that perform services on our behalf and under our instructions." This bit is fine for the most part, according to Basidi, though what the policy fails to do is list the exact recipients of personal information in accordance to Article 12 of the GDPR. Moving on, the next excerpt from Epic's privacy policy that was scrutinized reads as follows. "We also may share certain limited information, such as device identifiers, with advertisers and other marketing partners for purposes of gauging the effectiveness of advertising and other marketing strategies." To that, Basidi pointed out that while companies could argue Article 6, Paragraph 1, subsection F of the GDPR, the issue here lies in how vague Epic is being about the way information is shared with advertisers and marketing partners and how it's intended to be used. And there's also the fact that by default, Epic seems to be sharing data and then allowing people to opt out, when, according to Article 25, the default should be that they share nothing and allow people to opt in if they choose to. The option to decline personal data being shared to advertisers and marketers should be available by default in some way, but Basidi noted that this option was nowhere to be found when installing the client or after setup of the launcher was complete. From there, Basidi discussed the following excerpt that reads, "As part of our international operations, we may transfer information about you to any jurisdiction where we do business. The laws in those jurisdictions may not provide the same level of data protection compared to the laws in your country." The main criticism here is that this bit is apparently poorly worded, as while the GDPR does allow data to be transferred outside of the European Union, there are some restrictions based on whether certain countries' data protection laws or specific companies' privacy policies are up to par. Basidi once again invoked Article 12 of the GDPR, stating, quote, "Again, Article 12, lack of transparency. Who gets this stuff? Why? For how long? What guarantees are there? The way it's written here also sounds like they'll transfer regardless of guarantees in those countries. That is 100% illegal according to GDPR. See Article 46 GDPR. They have to ensure guarantees and safeguards of the level of European Union requirements that are in place." Finally, Basidi addressed the paragraph acknowledging aspects of the European Union's data protection regulations. Extrapolating on this, it was explained that there are sections within Article 18 of the GDPR stipulating that if a user imposes restrictions because wrong data is being processed, then data must be restricted and corrected before processing is resumed. Or if you don't want a company distributing your data outright, they don't have the power to make that temporary and are obligated to adhere to your request. To finish things off, Basidi relayed the following conclusion. In conclusion, their privacy policy has much larger issues. For example, they do not point out all your rights anywhere, which they're obligated to do for European Union citizens, or as any company operating within the EU or having EU clients. Their transparency is inadequate, and it's overall very lackluster in terms of what it should be. An example of a pretty good privacy policy statement in accordance with the requirements of the GDPR from a gaming company can be found over at Blizzard. They list almost everything I see lacking here. If you ask me, in this digital and information era, data protection is among the top priorities a company should strive for. So when something about a privacy policy feels off, it is worth highlighting and pointing out in the hopes that it will be rectified accordingly. If there are any other experts in the field who'd like to contribute their insight, feel free to do so in the comments below, but based on early impressions, it doesn't seem like Epic's privacy policy is up to par, particularly where specificity is concerned. While their current policy is unlikely to raise any flags in the US, across the European Union, on the other hand, where data protection regulations are much stricter and require full details and transparency, the vagueness and looseness on display here doesn't look like it will fly. And with the Epic Games Store being a service that has launched on a global scale and all across Europe, it would be prudent for the company to revisit their privacy policy before they stir any trouble. Everyone outside of Europe will be better off for this too. A policy update would likely occur on a global scale given how big of a market the European Union is, and the transparency that the GDPR enforces ultimately benefits everyone. But I'm no expert on the matter, so again, if I'm missing something here, any feedback is welcome. I just figured this topic was at the very least worth putting forth for discussion and scrutiny in case there is foul play involved. Now, another concern that the original poster of this thread expressed relates to Epic Games Store's refund policy. What's supposed to be a simple process akin to Steam was complicated when people discovered that when they started a refund process, the automated email response they got asked for an unusual amount of information, from one's public IP address, the date in which the Epic Games account in question was created, invoice ID for the Epic Games purchase that's meant to be refunded, location in which the purchase was made, original display name for the account, last 4 digits of the first payment card used on the account, date of last login, to names of any platforms connected with one's Epic Games account and the dates they were connected. That's just an insane amount of information they're asking users to provide for a simple refund, some of which most users aren't bound to know, particularly where specific dates for certain activities are concerned. Fortunately, after people brought this up, Epic addressed concerns on Reddit, stating the following: "Thanks for bringing this to our attention. We streamlined our process on Saturday, but it looks like this did not make it to all agents. Looking into the details a bit more, we are changing the process further, so you only need to provide us with the order ID of the Epic Games Store purchase you wish to have refunded if you email us from the email associated with your account." News outlet Eurogamer proved that the process has indeed been streamlined in accordance with feedback, with the automated response email now only asking users to provide the invoice ID from the Epic Games purchase in question. So at the very least, it looks like Epic Games is keeping their eyes and ears open for any qualms people may have about their store's services and policies. Hopefully, they'll show a similar amount of attention and care to concerns regarding what looks to be a very loose, very vague, and very opaque privacy policy by directly addressing users in that regard. After all, if there is one thing the European Union is good at, it's weeding out anti-consumer business practices, with the passing of the GDPR being the most recent proof of that. I also don't have to mention the various measures and investigations countries within the European Union have resorted to in order to combat the predatory loot boxes that the gaming industry refuses to dial back and regulate. Which is why, if there is indeed foul play involved with how Epic is approaching their privacy policy, it would be prudent for the company to get on this as swiftly as possible before any potential ramifications knock at their door. These are one man's perspective anyway. I'd love to hear what your take is on Epic Games' seemingly inadequate privacy policy in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content and would like to support this channel directly, consider donating on Patreon. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.